Jan, you're a pretty important member of the Hyperbarics team. Tell everybody what you do. What is your job here?
I am the clinical coordinator for the clinic, meaning that I make sure that the clinic runs efficiently, and I'm over the clinical staff and the patients themselves and case manage.
So the initial visit, when somebody comes in to be evaluated for wound clinic or wound care, or if they're going to need hyperbaric treatment, what goes on during that visit?
Well, first of all, I take them in and I like to get them comfortable with me. So I try to make a connection with my patients, because if I can do that, then they'll trust me, they'll be honest with me in talking with me. That helps provide a better assessment. I go over history physicals with them, medications, allergies, what kind of surgeries they've had, what's the history of the wound, how did they get this wound, how long have they had the wound, what dressings have they tried in the past, going over that really quite extensively. If it's a lower extremity wound, then I do an assessment on their legs. I measure for swelling. We do ABIs, which is a short for ankle brachial index, and that compares the blood pressure of their arm to the blood pressure of their ankle, and that'll let me know, it gives me an idea if they have some sort of arterial problem in their leg. At that point, if that's abnormal, we refer them to our vascular surgeon, Dr. Crace, to be evaluated, because we can put all of the advanced dressings on a wound like that, but if there's not blood supply getting there, it's not going to heal, and it won't work for the patient. So we refer them that way. I go over nutritional assessment with them. I want to know what is their day in the life of their food plan, and what are they eating, if they're diabetic, what their blood sugars are, what their average, their highs and their lows. I want to know if they're on insulin, if they're just on pills, and then how often are they checking their blood sugar? Because a lot of times they're supposed to be checking it once or twice a day, but they're not checking it. And that's why initially I feel like if you can get that connection and really become a part and trust, then they're going to tell you the truth. They're going to say, hey, look, you know what? I have a donut every morning, or I have some kind of treat before I go to bed, and that helps us with a game plan, because we don't want the patient to feel like if we tell them this is what they need to do and they say okay, well, we can do that, but then they go home and they're not going to follow that. So we want to work with a patient so that we're working together and not kind of against each other that way.
So you're on the same page, and so you know that you've got a patient that's going to be compliant and that will want to get better.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting to me that this is not just, oh, let me see your wound, this is how we fix it. This is so comprehensive, and the knowledge that you have to know what kind of questions to ask, to know what things to look for, so that you can better heal this patient.
Exactly. It may be, if they're diabetic and they have a foot wound, it may be because of their shoes. As simple as some pressure there, and so we can do all the advanced dressings again. If it's pressure related and they're wearing the wrong kind of shoes, or they constantly have pressure when they're in bed, it's not going to get better.
Right. Well, this has been so educational, and I can see just by talking to you, Jan, that patients are in good hands. Thank you so much.
Thanks.